that kept our country safe, and he never looked back. 3 years later, more than 7 million illegal migrants have been apprehended at the southern border, and that's more than the population of 33 different states. Even more concerning are that 169 individuals on the terrorist watch list who were arrested when attempting to enter the country. And that's on top of the 1.7 million gotaways confirmed by the U.S. Customs and Border Patrol, a number that yesterday actually Texas projects is likely 30% higher of unknown gotaways. The reality is we don't know who's entering our country, but we know what they're capable of. The state of Texas has seen a 1,227% increase in fentanyl seizures, 315% increase in drug overdose deaths, and a 288% increase in human trafficking investigations. It's why Governor Abbott has stepped up to defend his state, his people, and truly our nation. For 3 years, Texas has been on the front line of the most serious national security and humanitarian crisis of our time, and Governor Abbott has led the response. The U.S.-Mexico border stretches a total of 2,000 miles, and 1,200 of that are shared with Texas. That is the equivalent of the distance from Miami to New York City. Along the Texas border, I found this fascinating, there are 28 legal ports of entry. 3 are located in the Eagle Pass region. Yet for 3 years, the Eagle Pass region has been one of the major hubs for illegal migration into the United States because the Biden administration has refused to enforce federal laws that are on the books. Immigration laws that already has been passed by Congress impose criminal penalties for illegal entry between the designated legal ports of entry. These laws also command that federal officials shall detain aliens, and they ban the mass parole of aliens into the country, allowing parole only on a case-by-case basis. In fact, Congress directs federal officials to secure the borders and maintain operational control of them. Instead, President Biden has rolled out the welcome mat to anyone for any reason, abandoning his constitutional duty to protect our country and defend its citizens. Having no option but to protect itself, Texas is enforcing the law by denying illegal entry and detaining those who attempt it. This has resulted in the Biden administration taking legal action against Governor Abbott and the state of Texas, even though what Texas is doing is working. Water buoys in the Rio Grande are preventing migrants from dangerous river crossings. Razor wire barriers are deterring illegal entry. Instead, migrants can be redirected to the nearby legal ports of entry. And these tactics alone that Texas has put in place has resulted in a 79% decrease in traffic at Eagle Pass. During December, migrant crossings surged from 3,000 to 4,000, sometimes 5,000 individuals a day, for a total of 70,000 that month. In January, that number fell to 14,000, thanks to the deterrence that Texas put in place, none of which prevent federal border agents, federal patrol agents from doing their job or preventing rescue or aid. So while this is good news for now, Texas can't manage the national crisis on behalf of the federal government while also going into legal battle with them. And that truly is why 25 governors stood up and issued a joint statement last month supporting Texas' constitutional right to self-defense. It's why I made my 3rd trip to the border yesterday, and it is why Iowa has supported Operation Lone Star on 3 separate missions. Every state is a border state, and Iowa is no exception. The effects that Texas has been experiencing for 3 years are now a reality here at home. In 2023 alone, the Iowa Department of Public Safety's Division of Narcotics Enforcement seized more than 83,000 fentanyl tablets, more than 1,000 pounds of meth, 800 pounds of marijuana, and 165 pounds of cocaine. 26 of the narcotics cases that they investigated had a direct link to the Mexican cartels. But as we know, criminals from around the world are also making their way into the United States through the U.S. southern border. And as I've said many times, again, Iowa is not immune. On February 1st, 2 Chinese nationals were arrested in rural Iowa and charged with conspiracy to commit theft in the first degree. After a county sheriff's office, DCI, and FBI investigated an online scam believed to have been perpetrated by a Chinese criminal network operating out of New York State. The investigation suggests that the network was working nationwide and has scammed victims out of an estimated $30 million. One of the individuals charged is believed to have entered the U.S. illegally through the southern border months before his arrest. You know, Iowa is 1,000 miles from where I was standing yesterday afternoon in Shelby Park, 1,000 miles, but yet the border is now in our backyard. Interstate 35, major interstate, is a direct route for the drug cartel and human traffickers from Mexico to the Iowa and the Midwest. And the same can be said truly for every state across this country. If we want this crisis to end, then we have to help stop it. Because the president won't and hasn't, the federal government won't and hasn't, both have ignored it for more than 3 years. I've spoken with both the Adjutant Major General Osborne of the Iowa National Guard and Commissioner Baines with the Department of Public Safety to start preparing for a return mission to the border. I've also informed Governor Abbott that Iowa stands ready, again, to support Operation Lone Star. While the commitment has been made, the dates and the duties of the next mission have not yet been determined. So we'll be coordinating with Texas to understand what that timeline looks like and what their expectations are of the people that we send down. Again, mission expenses will be covered by federal ARPA funds. The Iowa National Guard and the DPS missions in August and September of last year totaled approximately $2.1 million and were funded the same way. Again, if the federal government won't do the job protecting Americans, the states will step in. I appreciate my Republican colleagues for joining me in support of Texas. I really do anticipate every one of them doing something to help Governor Abbott in his efforts to not only secure the border and protect his citizens, but again, to protect Americans across this country. And I'm really proud to stand strong with him and help him in the mission to defend what President Biden has fallen short in doing. And so with that, I'll go ahead and open it up for questions.
First question goes to Amanda.
Governor, the San Francisco Chronicle last month did an evaluation of all overdose deaths in the country, and it found that Iowa, every single county in Iowa is below the national average in overdose deaths. So why is it important for you to make a trip?
Well, one overdose death is way too much, for heaven's sakes, and we've actually seen a 35% increase in overdose deaths tied to drugs, and that was from, I think, 2020 to 2021 or 2022. We can get you the exact timeline. So we are seeing it escalate, and you can't have the number of pills coming into the state of Iowa and not anticipate another story like we had with the Kidd family and Sebastian. One death is too many, and it's ridiculous, and we're increasing our odds every single day with that direct pipeline through Interstate 35 from the Mexico cartel right into Iowa in the Midwest. So I think, you know, that's pathetic. And you heard, what was the statistics from Texas? I think they had saw, what, a 315% drug overdose deaths. That is the hardest darn thing to say. I want you all to say it 3 times. You just get to write it. It's hard. That's just unconscionable that is allowed to be happening. And the cartels are they're running the border right now. And they're making a lot of money because we have an open, porous border that not only human trafficking and smuggling is taking place, but drugs that are pouring across the border and into our communities. And it's unconscionable, and I'm not going to stand by and let it happen.
Stephen,
Governor, you mentioned President Biden not taking action on the border. He has asked Congress for
Mhm.
legislation to give him more authority
Mhm.
to process entrance into the country and more powers to limit asylum seeking. The
Mhm.
Senate just came out with a deal
Mhm.
over the weekend.
Mhm.
What do you think of that Senate bill? Should Congress pass
Well,
it?
first of all, he has a constitutional duty to enforce the laws that are already on the books. Congress already has on the books that you have to deny illegal entry into the country. He is not. He has the authority right now, today, to follow the law that Congress put in place. We don't need a new law. He needs to follow the existing law. He is not denying illegal entry into the country. I stood there for that press conference, and right facing me was a legal point of entry, a bridge, a legal point of entry. So if you're an asylum seeker, you go to that bridge and you start the process. But instead, he's allowing illegal migrants right under the bridge to cross illegally into the state. Point of entry, 3 in the Eagle Pass area, the Del Rio region, 3. And yet they're pouring across under the legal point of entry to come into our country. The Congress already has said you cannot do mass parole. He is implementing mass parole by processing and releasing all of these illegal immigrants into the country. 2 things. He has the authority to stop today and send a message to all of the illegals that are pouring from countries all over the world. These aren't just from Mexico or Honduras or Guatemala. These are from all over the world. I mean, the number of countries are unconscionable. It's just crazy that are utilizing illegal entry. So I would say do the simple thing, start today, enforce the laws that are already on the books. And he's not, which is also triggering Texas constitutional authority to defend itself, and that's truly what they're doing.
So you don't think the Senate bill is needed?
I think he should do his job. And if he won't, the states are going to step up and do it. 25 governors have said they're going to stand with Governor Abbott and do what this president refuses to do. It's got to be intentional. Also, he reversed common sense policies on day one in his administration. Stop sending money to the wall. He's reinstated catch and release. That is ridiculous. Remain in Mexico. All 3 of those send a message to everybody else. Hey, we're serious about this. We are now at 7 million illegal immigrants. That has got to be low. 1.7 million gotaways. You heard me say they think that that's 30% underreported. So it's over 2 million probably gotaways. 169 already arrested in 2022. We're on the terrorist watch list. I mean, I don't know what else you need to, the crime, look at the crime that's taking place across this country, the drugs that are pouring into this country, the human trafficking that's taking place, the smuggling, and really the humanitarian crisis. He is encouraging people to take risk and try to cross a river and an illegal border when they simply have right there at their disposal a legal point of entry. So the deaths that you're seeing, I think there was, I don't know how many, I can get you that number, of 152 drownings in 2022. Well, I mean, to quote Governor Abbott, I don't know of anybody that's drowned crossing a bridge. So they have a legal point of entry that's there for a reason, and they need to execute the laws that are already on the books.
Governor, there are Iowa National Guard troops that have been deployed to assist federal authorities,
Right.
With,
Right.
Border security efforts.
Right.
Are you suggesting that those federal missions have not been effective?
No, I'm just saying we're gonna help supplement that with a state mission because Governor Abbott has asked for support. So we have a group, I think in California right now, that's on mission, and I can get you the details of all the missions that we've done. It's been a smaller number that have actually that are deployed right now. So that's one way that we can continue to help, and that's through Title 10. This is Title 32, which is a state driven mission. And so he has asked all 25 states, that was the ask of yesterday, to help him in really doing his job to protect America and so and Americans. And so we will supplement what's already happening with the National Guard, which they're ready to go. I don't know if you remember, but all of them volunteered last time, both from the Iowa State Patrol and the National Guard, and I had way more people volunteer than we can actually send down. So, you know, Governor Abbott said yesterday, I'll take 5, 10, 100, 1,000, you know, whatever you can help with. We need that constant pressure because look, they're seeing results. The results are there. That's a significant decrease. I think I said 79%. That's incredible. It works. And so just think, I mean, to your point, again, if the president was doing his job, this would not be an issue. We wouldn't see the stats that we're seeing right now or the increases. I don't know if I said this, but there's, you know, they process and release, and so send them out into the country, and there's 2 million, and I'm sure that's even, you know, a low number that are waiting to be processed, and the average wait time right now is 2 years. So I don't know, you know, anybody think they're going to show up in 2 years? I think the chances may be slim.
Aaron,
To that, it's my understanding that the administration is somewhat hamstrung by asylum seekers, that they don't have the authority to just deport everyone. And that the new Senate bill addresses that, strengthens the asylum law. So
Yeah, well, if you control the flow coming in, that's how you manage that. They're not controlling the flow coming in, so I'm sure they're a little bit overwhelmed because, you know, we have 7 million that are crossing. We had, what did I say, how many, 70,000 in the month of December just through that one area that I visited yesterday. So the way that you control that process is by controlling the border and actually securing the border and making sure that those that are actually seeking asylum has a path, I think is the question that you asked. But, you know, I mean, that's how you start to control some of those numbers. But you need to secure the border. And then you need to send that message to the world that you're no longer going to pour across our border and into our country and bring the nefarious things that you are with you. And then you can start to, I think, then we can have a conversation that needs to be had. You know, I mean, both parties are guilty in not coming to the table, sitting down, and having an adult conversation about what we do moving forward. But that's going to be really hard to happen. And I don't think, you know, I don't know. I don't have a lot of confidence, in no disrespect to the people that serve out in Washington, D.C. I'm grateful for them. But listen, in this environment, I don't have a lot of confidence in really too much getting done. It's just, and then you're running into an election year. So it's going to be really hard to get anything done right now, to be honest.
last question, Kay.
What more can you tell us about the February 1st arrest that you, from what entry point did that national, was legal pass, and what is the accusation?
So I'm going to defer you to Commissioner Baines, and Kay, he will get you the information on that. Or I can have them supply that or provide you with that, and he can answer those questions.
Sounds good. Thank you, guys.
And then can you ask
Thank
the
you.
answer about mission that you said for investigating?
Yeah, I'm still waiting on that. So this is like we did last time. I mean, we really, like, my National Guard coordinates with the Texas National Guard. Then he will put into account all the states, the number of individuals, the soldiers that they're sending, and then they do all of the coordination with that. It's same thing with the State Department of Public Safety. Will coordinate with the Texas Department of Public Safety. They need to get some idea of how many are going to work with them, provide soldiers, law enforcement, and then they will map out the strategy based on the numbers. So you know, they know. In fact, those conversations are already happening. But I think they'll probably wait and see what other states are recommending. And then if there are any timing issues, you know, sometimes we have soldiers deployed, and so you have to work around that. And especially with law enforcement, you know, my first priority is to make sure I'm keeping Iowans safe here. And so we have to work with Commissioner Baines so that he feels comfortable. We had to work around like the Iowa State Fair in Ragbri last year. There's no way I could have people pulled during that timeline. So we want to make sure that we're taking care of Iowans, but at the same time, he does feel that he has the capacity, if we time it right, to be of help to the Texas State Patrol. Thank you.